everyone, and welcome to the Roseville Ice Arena for CTN's coverage of the Section 5 AA Girls Hockey Championships. It's the quarterfinal round as the number 4 seeded team from Spring Lake Park, Coon Rapids takes on the number 5 seed Rogers Royals. Joe Young, Howie Shapiro up above the action, and always exciting when we get to this time of year.
No question about it, and this should be a pretty good matchup. I think that the Catbirds have the upper hand here this afternoon. The Royals have one player in Peyton Levis, and we'll talk about her in a bit, but if they keep her in check, there really isn't any of their goal scorers on this squad.
The Royals have an impressive record, but their level of competition not quite on par with what Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids has seen night in and night out. And you mentioned it, Peyton Levis, almost 50% of the offense this season for the Roseville Raiders.
43 goals, 16 assists. She's a good player. I was just talking to head coach Steve Geider of Blaine, said she is very good, and she definitely needs to be kept in check here tonight for the SLPCR squad to win this contest.
She leads Rogers with 43 goals, the next highest on the goal sheet, 9 on the season for the Rogers Royals. On the flip side for Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids, they've got a great goaltender. They've got a good goal scorer up front, but the girl who really makes this team work is their defensive player, Hannah Schultz.
She's a 20-goal scorer from the defensive spot, and she is really solid, and she really solidifies that defense, and she's going to make sure she's going to be one of the players that kind of keeps Peyton Levis in check as well. So you're right, they have a couple of goal scorers on this team, a really good goaltender that will keep you in this contest.
Well, and they're going to need it. The number 1 seeded Blaine Bengals await for the winner of today's contest. The section tournament starts next on CTN.
Your son wants to get a cat,
I'll really take care of it.
but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals
25.
Good job.
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Back at the Roseville Ice Arena, ready to get this tournament underway. This is the first game in the first round. As I mentioned, the number 1 seed Blaine Bengals await the winner of this matchup between number 4 and 5. Maple Grove, number 3 team in the state, but number 2 here in the second seed in the tournament. They're taking on Champlain Park this afternoon, and Anoka, the number 6 seed, will take on number 3 seed Centennial in the nightcap.
Yeah, this should be an interesting game. When talking to Coach Nelson, we talked about it really wasn't. They've been playing good hockey. Obviously, they ran into Blake the last game of the season and lost that one 7-0. But they're awfully good.
Yes,
the only
7-1.
7-1. The only thing that she's talked about is that we're taking a little too many penalties. So the thing they wanted to work on tonight, stay out of the box.
Here's a look at your starting lineups for the 5th seeded Royals. Peyton Levis between Caitlin Lloyd and Maddie Chapman. The blue liners are Kendra Bolster and Courtney Johnston. Haley Hartledge is the starting netminder for the Royals. For Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids, Brina Del Castillo with Mallory Corrigan and Cameron Crawford on the wings. Hannah Schultz is on the blue line along with Emma Murphy. And in nets is Sammy Miller. This one played in and just swept to the corner by Hartledge. Played behind. Brina had a little trouble with it, but able to regain. Now trying to cut back. Top of the circles, big rebound and a goal! Sweeping it home was Cameron Crawford, and a very early chalk up for the Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids squad. Just 17 seconds in.
Goalie Haley Hartledge lost her stick. And, obviously, Joe, for a goaltender, you need that stick. And one of the players was trying to help her with it. Kind of was taken away out of the action. And SLPCR made them pay, and they score early.
A very early goal, just 17 seconds in, and Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids the 1-0 lead.
That's the last thing the Royals wanted to happen to them. Just give up that early goal. put a little pressure on you right away. Obviously plenty of time in this contest, but they have to be careful of those situations because this team can score goals in SLPCR.
Fanning on the pass was Crawford. Not a lot on that shot from Lloyd. Easily turned aside by Miller. Schultz plays it up the boards for Del Castillo. She gets the red line. Will dump it in and give a little bit of chase as her line mates get a change behind her. Del Castillo pushes it back into the corner. Ganley supplying the pressure for SLPCR. Comes back near side. Moving it ahead was Phelan. Nearly taken away on the cross ice pass by Keller. Puck played off the back end boards into the near corner. Spinning with it is Actor Kirch. Played out front, and the Royals can't direct it toward the net. Going the other way is Jordan Keller. Keller to center ice will dump it in on Hartledge, who steers it to the corner. Keller staying with it behind the net, now taken away and moved up ice where Schultz has it at center. Leaving it off is Brazier. The shot went off of Brazier's shin pad into the corner. Albers and Brazier battling for Spring Lake Park in the corner. Played back to Brazier, looking at center. Nobody home for the home team. Clearing attempt stopped up by Emma Murphy, who pushes it back to the corner. Johnson pinned to the boards on the far side. Brazier in to help out as Albers battles. Now played back around behind. Johnston in the corner, turns away from Zarate, now up the boards. And Fanning on the pass was Hoppy. Played back out to center, got it through the skates of Hatcher. And now Hoppy will play it in right on Sammy Miller. She just pushes it there to Emma Murphy. Murphy behind her own net. Looking to pass ahead, it didn't quite click, and chasing it down at the other end is Kendra Bolster. Bolster behind her own net, near side for Phelan. Phelan chased back in behind the cage. Looks up ice, right onto the stick of Levis, and Levis trying to get around the corner, poked away. Over along the far boards by Maddie Bloomquist. Centering pass for Del Castillo. Going to her forehand, waiting for help at the top of the circle. Crawford will sweep it in down low, try to center. That's broken up by Phelan. Played around to the far corner where Chapman plays it through center off of Levis. Turned around at the blue line by Carmen. Carmen again up the boards. Bolster pushing it back toward the SLPCR end. Carmen across. Bloomquist looking up ice. Her pass doesn't click. That'll be icing. A face-off coming back in the SLPCR end. A little less than 5 minutes played in SLPCR. The number 4 seed, that early goal.
There's head coach Sandy Nelson. Second season with this SLPCR squad. 21 wins last year. 15 coming into this game this year.
Pass a little bit behind Simikiewicz, couldn't scoop it up. Royals able to poke it back in the zone. Schultz behind her own net. That pass doesn't click. Shot in from the point. Not a lot on it as Miller leaves it off, and here's Simikiewicz up the near side. Able to sneak it around Johnston into the corner. Played in behind. Back out to the point for Northwest. Across for Schultz. Schultz from the faceoff dot right into the cage of Hartledge. Took that right off the mask. That's keeping your eye on it.
No question.
This one played the length of the ice by Actor Kirch.
You could have said that's using your head as well.
Could come later.
Oh, okay, well. Now I ruined it. There's head coach Joel Westlow. His 3rd season as the head coach for the Rogers Royals. You know, he talked to me earlier, said, you know, it'd be good for us to score first, put a little pressure on. Now they're behind here 1-0.
Phelan moves it ahead for Hatcher into center ice. Hatcher pressured, poked at by Blomquist. Brazier freed the puck and now able to retrieve off the end board. Turning away from pressure, back behind for Murphy. Ahead, skips off the skate of Allbirds. The shot batted around out front and into the corner Scooped up there by Bloomquist. She overskated a little bit, had to play it back behind for Murphy. Murphy far side, one-touch pass from Zarate, and Brazier springs to center. Across the line, played in, and Hartledge steers it away with the stick. Albers in the near corner, pushes it back in deep and gives chase, tying up with Hatcher along the back end boards. Hatcher pokes it free to the near side. Where it is scooped up and skated to center by Johnson. Johnson will dump it in deep. Rogers getting a line change. Long pass from Northwest off the stick of Del Castillo at center. Del Castillo ties up in the corner with Johnston. Puck ends up out of play. Faceoff will stay in the Rogers end.
In talking to Coach Westlow, he said that
no, it will come outside the zone.
Hartledge, who's just a freshman, has had a solid year, and she's going to need to be solid in net tonight for this Royals team to have an opportunity to advance Tuesday against Blaine.
Played right back out to center, dump back in. Murphy swats it out on the backhand. That would be offside. Del Castillo collects and skates to center for SLPCR. Into the zone, stops up, wrist shot right into the midsection of Hartledge. She holds on for a face-off to her left.
Again, they're gonna test that young lady early and often here this afternoon. We talked about Hannah Schultz in the opening, but Rena Del Castillo, good goal scorer, and she's very efficient on the ice.
Levis sent it in deep, gives chase. Carmen has it behind the net, has it taken away by Levis, played out to the point, but just out of the reach of Ellie Filan and back into the Rogers end. Filan will get it back near side and sweep it in deep. Schultz collects in the far corner. Playing to center, Filan will keep it in. A little shot that misses wide to the far side. Schultz stepped on the puck and lost the handle into the corner. Vizcalo coming away from the scrum with the puck. Challenged and puck poked back to the end board by Reimer. Keller trying to settle a bouncing puck. Kept in at the line by Abby Johnson. Played in on Miller and turned to the far corner. Courtney Johnston plays it around. Turning up ice, Bloomquist. Centering pass was behind Vizcalo and sent back in deep by Danny Hope. Hoppy, rather. Bloomquist trying to play it up the boards. That's stopped up, sent back in deep by Hatcher. Hatcher can't get it away from Schultz behind. Schultz doesn't put much on it off the boards. Bolster playing it toward the net. It ends up harmlessly in the near corner. Bloomquist can't get past Johnston up the boards. Johnston knocks that one down as well. She'll take the shot. And the stick saved by Sammy Miller. Pass ahead. Keller flips it on the backhand all the way down. Icing waved off, as they must have decided that Johnston got a piece of it at the blue line. I think that was the case, but
it would have to be, otherwise it would have been icing.
Brazier circling in her own zone. Long pass ahead, misses the stick of Lindsay Albers. It will be icing this time. A face-off back to the right of Sammy Miller with 8:49 on the clock.
So far, the Royals really not testing Sammy Miller here in this first period. 8:49, as you mentioned, remaining, and this is an opportunity down in the SLPCR end. See if they can get a little pressure in on net.
Off the draw, bouncing puck, scooped towards center, poked to the line, but kept in there by Parent. Miller able to sweep that to the corner. Back out to Parent. Her shot through traffic. Miller was there, and it deflected back to the near side. Levis can't keep it in deep. SLPCR able to break to center, and Murphy will play it in deep. Del Castillo gives chase. Finally, first one there, played it up the board, stopped up. And now taken away by Levis. Levis with speed, trying to get around the corner on Murphy. Murphy able to sweep it off her stick. Collected by Del Castillo behind. She races up the near board and now gives up to Cameron Crawford. Crawford tied up, puck loose. Swatted at by Del Castillo and now played in deep by Maddie Chapman. Bloomquist behind her own net. Looks through the center of the ice. Got as far as the red line where Abby Johnson stopped it up for Rogers. Brazier able to break the puck free. And Zarate plays it in deep for SLPCR. Johnson behind her own net. Backhands it up the boards. Swung to center by Albers, but carrying the other way is Mary Reimer for Rogers. And then a second chance for Reimer just goes wide. Kept in at the blue line there by Hatcher. Broken stick means she'll have to retreat. Puck comes free and a little snapshot by Hoppy turned away by the chest of Sammy Miller.
The Oilers doing a nice job of putting a little pressure in on Miller now. The last couple of minutes.
Schultz can't get it out. Flung back in deep by Levis. Behind the net is Bloomquist. Around back behind for Schultz. Schultz will swing it off the board. Zarate had it poked off her stick. Bloomquist can't get there, but able to seal and recover behind her own net. Bloomquist skates to center. Cuts back to the middle. Flips it in on the defender. Clearing attempt won't go. Bezcalo collects just inside the blue line and dumps it in behind the cage. Bolster swings it back to the far boards. Keller trying to center. Went off the skate of Bezcalo. Simikiewicz in the corner. Swings it back. The centering pass bounces away. Another shot hit traffic. And coming back up the near boards is Caitlin Lloyd for the Royals. Ahead for Chapman into the zone. A high shot up over the cage and out of the reach of the blocker of Sammy Miller. Poke to Simikiewicz. Ahead for Bezcalo. Bezcalo trying to get it to Jordan Keller, but that's broken up. And swept back in deep by Achterkirch. Got away from Simikiewicz. Simikiewicz tied up and taken off the puck. Bezcalo will play it down, and that line will get a change. Turned right back to Marie Reimer. Reimer in on Miller, and she's going to cover up. Give her team a chance to complete the line change. Face off in their defensive end. 5:27 remaining. First period, they lead 1-0 on that goal. Just 17 seconds in by Cameron Crawford.
Yeah, really haven't been able to get their offense going since that goal, that early tally. You give credit to Rogers, I think, too. A little bit of good defensive play. Have kept the opportunities away from SLPCR.
Off the draw, Rogers trying to center, broken up by Del Castillo. Johnston can't keep it in at the line, will swing it across, and now played in deep by her partner, Sarah Parent. Behind is Schultz, sweeping it up the boards for Del Castillo. She's pressured and now plays it out to center, tracked down by Parent, just in front of her own goalkeeper. Pressured by Crawford, she'll peel behind the net. Hoppy along the boards. Her pass broken up by Del Castillo. Hoppy can't get it past Crawford. And then fans on it. Taken away by Del Castillo. Swept to the far side. Batted at by Del Castillo. A fan. And Del Castillo stops another clear attempt. And now Del Castillo circles. Tried to play it out to Murphy at the point. And lost it out to center. Tracked down at her own blue line by Hannah Schultz. Back near side. Deflected ahead for Del Castillo. She'll play it in deep as Parent approached at the blue line. Tied up along the board. Zarate trying to turn it toward the net and swings it into the far corner. Zarate gets it back, plays to center. All black jerseys there, and Caitlin Lloyd turns up ice for Rogers. Brazier giving chase all the way to the blue line where Lloyd just sweeps it in deep. Northwest behind her own net. Emma Murphy will collect and look up ahead, sidesteps some pressure, and she'll skate to center. Emma Murphy into the zone. From the top of the circle, puck bounced away from Hartledge, and she's able to hop on top of it and get a face-off in her own end.
Yeah, again, she was fortunate in that situation. She had Elbers coming in on net, and she couldn't control that puck, but able to fall on it before Elbers could get to the puck.
Off the face-off. Keller's shot was deflected, ended up wide. Played out to the point. Bloomquist will fire it back in deep. Keller couldn't control. Rogers trying to play it up the near boards. Broken up by Bizcalo. Bizcalo pokes it back to the corner. Keller trying to center a rolling puck. Ends up in the far corner. And collected along the boards by Achterkirch. Achterkirch play it in on Miller. Plays it toward the corner. Schultz tips it and now sends it out to center. Johnston didn't get what she wanted on that, but it was effective. Playing it all the way in behind where Bloomquist looks up ice. Her pass is taken away in the corner by Sherling. Sherling trying to walk out front. Puck still loose. Played out front. And a goal at the back door.
That was Levis.
By Peyton Levis.
Yeah.
Will even the score with 3:05 to play in the first.
Yeah, we talked about the pressure that the Royals were putting on Coon, or SLPCR, and it paid off that time. A little bit of confusion in front of the net. The puck squirts out, and there's a natural goal scorer right there. She puts it home to tie it up.
It was a good effort to get it toward the net right there.
That was a big goal. Takes the momentum away from SLPCR.
Lloyd able to poke it across the goal mouth, and Levis with a wide open net to look at. Able to even the score, and Rogers right back on the attack. Levis's shot deflected into the corner. Murphy off the boards, ahead for Del Castillo at center. Del Castillo trying to get around the left corner and walk back out front. Tripped up but no call as it's recollected by Cameron Crawford. Pitchfork back in deep by Murphy. A tie up along the end boards. Del Castillo trying to dig it free. And able to get it to the far side of the net, and now tied up again. And again, Del Castillo able to drag it free, and they're going to call the penalty behind the play as Mallory Corrigan was still tied up along the end board. First power play of the game will go to the Rogers Royals.
And one thing Coach Nelson said, stay out of the box. It's something we need to do tonight. And now that the Royals have tied this thing up, it puts a little more pressure now on SLPCR with 2:12 remaining in the first. First opportunity to see the Royals power play.
Rogers able to win off the draw. Filing the shot through traffic, turned away by Miller.
She fired a bullet at her.
Levis walking off the boards, back out to Filan at the point, walking in, wrist shot deflected, ended up wide. Johnston pokes it back in deep, centering pass out to Filan at the top, and there's Levis back out to Filan, top of the circles for Johnston, out front and tip and a goal. And just like that, the Royals have taken the lead.
Yeah, their offense has been clicking here in the last 5-6 minutes. Again, putting pressure in on Sammy Miller, but that's a big power play goal for Rogers. That gives them momentum, puts a little heat on SLPCR now, down by a goal. And those are some of the things they have to avoid that I know Coach Nelson always talks about, keeping things wide, but the pressure in front of the net paid off.
And a great redirect by Caitlin Lloyd. Out front. Gives the fifth-seeded Royals all the momentum here, up 2-1.
No question.
In the last couple of minutes of the first period.
That's Lloyd's 6th goal of the season.
Cross-ice pass collected off the boards by Sherling. She'll play it in. And it's swept behind by Miller. Poke to the corner. Sherling still pressuring. Played ahead to Crawford. Tried to play it back in deep. Puck came loose. Crawford trying to dig at it. Corrigan able to glove it down. This one flipped into the bench. And out of play.
Oh, you talk about a change in momentum. Corrigan gets the penalty, goes in the box, and the Royals make them pay. Very nice turnout here for a 2:30 afternoon game on a Saturday.
Murphy plays it up the boards and out in front of Filan. Filan just leaves it there. Levis collects and now backhands in deep. Anna Schultz sweeps it up behind her own net as we're under a minute to play. Her pass picked off. Levis turns and shoots, and it's sticked away by Miller. Played out front. Miller deflected it. Zarate can't get it past Levis. Levis will swing it back into the corner. In behind, centering attempt. Didn't quite work out for Chapman, but kept it at the blue line. Chapman can't get it out front again. Filan walking in, plays it toward the net. Swept away by Schultz. And now Murphy will send it ahead for Zarate through center. Zarate will dump it in. Olber's giving chase and pressures Johnson into the corner. Coming away with it is Abby Johnson behind her own net for the Royals. And now we'll circle, nearly crash into Filan and get it ahead for Chapman. Chapman plays it out to center as the final few seconds tick off here in the first period. The Rogers Royals are going to the locker room for the first time with the lead. We'll take a break and hear from Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids head coach Sandy Nelson right after this. You're watching CTN's coverage of the Section 5 AA Girls Hockey Championships.
Don't miss the Wedding and Special Events Expo at the Coon Rapids Civic Center on Saturday, March 4th. Find all types of vendors for your wedding or special event all in one place. Meet photographers, cake decorators, event planners, and more. Reserve tickets online at CoonRapidsCivicCenter.com or purchase at the door. The Wedding and Special Events Expo at the Coon Rapids Civic Center, Saturday, March 4th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. See you there.
Welcome back to Roseville Arena. You're watching CTN's presentation of 5AA Section Playoff Girls Hockey. I'm here with assistant coach Matt Mossy. And coach, you got that early goal. And I thought in the last 5-6 minutes they did a nice job of pressuring in that, score a couple of goals. You're down 2-1.
Yeah, we got the goal. We wanted to come out fast, and we did that right away. I think we got a little complacent after we came out and scored that early goal, kind of started to sit back, be less aggressive. We need to get back to playing how we did that first 5 minutes. I think we'll be a lot better if we do that in the second period.
So other than that, what's the message going into the locker room here between periods?
Just calm down, take a deep breath here. We really need to work harder in our defensive zone, make that good first pass, allow us to break out, and then we can get it down in their end where I think we can really take advantage of them if we get it down in their end early.
All right, thanks, Coach. Happy birthday. We're going to take a quick break. Good luck in the second. We're going to be back with stats and highlights right after this.
The military carried their weight for me.
Now it's my turn to carry weight for them.
In February, hundreds of us will march in long underwear wearing a pack.
In my pack is 1 pound for every $10 I raise to support our veterans.
I did this last year, and I'm doing it again this year.
Come do this with me. It's called the Nearly Naked Ruck March.
You can find us on Facebook
or register at 23rdveteran.org.
This year's Nearly Naked Ruck March is in Duluth on February 25th.
Back at the Roseville Ice Arena, and in the first intermission, number 5 seeded Rogers, a 2-1 lead over number 4 seed Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids in this Section 5 AA quarterfinal. And Howie, they did, as you talked to with Coach Mossy about, they came out and they got an extremely fast start, but then outplayed for big chunks of that first period.
No question about it, and they put a lot of pressure in front of Sammy, and obviously they made 2 of those opportunities count. And Coach said some of the things, and we're okay, we just have to make a few adjustments, we'll be fine. They've been in these situations before.
Well, they came out, and you can't strike much quicker than this. Just 17 seconds into the contest, it's Cameron Crawford sweeping home the rebound to put SLPCR on the board first, but from there, Rogers kind of kept a little bit more action down at the other end, and Sammy Miller saw a lot of pucks. Finally poking this one home was Levis. That came with about 5 minutes remaining. And then on the power play, great redirect out front by Caitlin Lloyd. Gives them the 2-1 lead. That one came with less than 2 minutes to play.
Yeah, you talk about Rogers going down 1-0 early, and it didn't get these players down. They continued to hustle, they continued to play hard, and they ended up with that 2-1 opportunity at the break. There you see shots on goal, 15 for the Royals, only 8 for SLPCR. Now those are some of the stats that Coach Nelson wants to improve, get a little more shots towards the net, and keep continuing to try and put some pressure in on the Royals goaltender.
Well, it is win or go home. The winner of tonight's contest will take on the #1 seed Blaine Bengals on Tuesday. The loser will be done for the season. Second period between Rogers and Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids coming up next on CTF.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Back at the Roseville Ice Arena, just about ready to drop the puck on the second period, and Rogers seemed to intensify as the second period went on. Caitlin Lloyd, a goal and an assist. Had that great deflection on the power play goal that put him in the lead, and before that, a great helper at the back door to find Peyton Levis. Levis centering, but it slides out to center. Johnston stops it there and plays it back in deep. Centering effort by Chapman, turned back out to the point. This one skips to the back door, and Levis that time tied up and could not poke it again into a wide open net. Del Castillo flips it ahead, skipped away from Crawford. At center is Levis, and she fires it in. She'll go off for a change. Schultz back behind for Murphy. Gets it to Crawford, skating out of the zone to center. She's tied up and turns the puck over. Turn right back out to center. And Murphy will track it down for the SLPCR squad. Played back into the zone. It was offside. Gives SLPCR a chance to regroup. Played across for Del Castillo. Defender fell. Del Castillo, a shot kick save by Hartledge.
Nice job by Hartledge to stay with her against one of the better goal scorers on this team.
Sherling sends it around behind. Del Castillo able to dig it free and send it the length of the ice. That'll be icing. A face-off coming back in the SLPCR end.
Now the Royals early on just setting the tone, and we talked about momentum and how they were able to get it on their side at the end of that first period. They're coming out skating hard, and they're trying to add to this 2-1 lead.
Pushed back into the corner by Hoppy. With it behind is Catlin, trying to get it out front. That's broken up, set to the near boards, where Zarate moves it ahead. Albers had it momentarily, and now we'll have it again before having it stripped away by Hoppy, who plays it in a little too early, and we have icing the other way and a face-off back of the Rogers end.
Well, and too, Joe, if you're SLPCR, you just want to be able to get some of that momentum back and again, get some pressure in on the goaltender. It just all starts with good play and controlling the puck down in their end.
Puck one to the corner, but Brazier first one there. Trying to center, broken up by Levis, who has it behind her own net. Poked at by Albers, who lost her stick. Played off the boards and recollected by Levis, who has speed through center. Trying to get around Schultz, poked away. Brazier had it poked off her stick, right back to Levis. Centering pass, nobody home. Back out at center is Johnston. Johnston gets it to Lloyd, who sends it in deep. Schultz off the boards, kept in at the blue line by Bolster. Bolster back in deep for Chapman along the boards, centered and deflected into the far corner. Johnston pokes it back in deep. Slending it through the slot was Reimer. A shot back in, not a lot on it. Easy save from Miller. Another shot through traffic. Miller juggled, but able to cover it up. And again, we have a Royals team moving pretty well in the offensive end and creating multiple looks at the net.
Yeah, again, no question about it. They're getting shots on net. They're putting bodies in front of the net, looking for rebounds. They're doing a really nice job of working their offense.
Off the draw, Keller skates to center, broken up, able to sweep it with her, but did not have control and in offside. Tie up off the draw, poked at, controlled by Reimer. Reimer sends it off the boards at her own blue line. Is Biscalo who moves it, or Carmen rather, who moves it ahead. That one skips away from Biscalo in the slot, trying to play it back toward the net, kind of skipped off of Hartledge. Scoop behind by Fineland. Biscalo with it again, backhand out to the point for Bloomquist. Bloomquist trying to step around the pressure, had the puck taken away by Sherling. Tied up in the corner, Biscalo digging at it, able to get it free and walk out. Poked off of her stick and now sent the length of the ice by the Royals. We'll have another icing call and a face-off back in their end. 13:32 to play in the second.
The Royals need to get a change, so they ice the puck so they can get their skaters off the ice, get some fresh skaters out there.
Corrigan against Levis, able to win the draw for SLPCR. Murphy can't keep it in at the blue line. Dumped it behind her, tipped away from Levis. Corrigan will circle and now play back in. Flipped it in on Hartledge, and she holds on for a faceoff.
You know, we talked about Haley Hartledge, just a freshman. She comes in with an 18-5-2 record, a 1.52 goals against, Joe, and you know, she's been solid in nets for this Royals squad.
Dug free by Del Castillo. Circles behind the net, trying to center. There it is. Corrigan shot deflected. Del Castillo can't sweep it in at the back door. She's pinned along the backhand boards by Johnston, able to kick it free to the far side. Couple of Royals in to tie up. Levis kicking at it. Comes loose to Abby Johnson, and Johnson will skate up the far boards. Swept ahead out of the reach of Lloyd. Schultz turns it around, skips away from Crawford. Johnston back off the boards, off the official right at the blue line, and kept it center ice. Levis will sweep it to Schultz, right back ahead. Crawford had it skip off her stick. Played back to the blue line. Schultz able to hold in front of Levis. Murphy off the near boards. Johnston steps up and dumps it in for Rogers. On the attack, Schultz plays it off the boards, out of the reach of Zarate. Sent back in by Bolster. Murphy can't get it out. Del Castillo able to play it out to center. Zarate gets it ahead. Bolster just inside her own zone. Plays it off the board and out. Brazier fanned on the dump attempt, and it's instead sent the other way by Hatcher. Schultz behind her own net. Looks cross ice. Zarate able to wait for it and make the catch. Now poked away. Murphy plays it back out to center. Right back in by Kendra Bolster. Schultz behind her own net, spins away from Johnson. Played off the boards by Murphy and all the way down. Icing waved off as Parent tracks it down just in front of her keeper. Ahead near side for Shirley. Dumping it in is Achterkirch. Bloomquist had her pocket picked, ends up in a heap in the corner on top of the puck. Simikiewicz up the boards, sent back in by Achterkirch. Loose puck, played to Corrigan, who skates to center. Corrigan dumps it to the line. Regrouping is Johnston. Johnston circling and gaining speed through center. Johnston around all the defenders into the corner, stops up there. Now looking through the slot, plays it out to the point, kept in there. That shot missed wide to the near side, tied up along the end boards. Bloomquist able to dig it free. She's turned around by Levis, gets it ahead for Del Castillo, who had it kicked free by Chapman. Sent around near side. Unable to keep it in at the line is Abby Johnson. Johnson plays it off the far boards. Cameron Crawford leaves it there. Bloomquist shot deflected behind by Lloyd, who challenges, and now sent around on the near boards. Johnson able to hold, but only momentarily as Del Castillo skates to the other end, stops up, has some room, a shot, and that was blocked down and taken on by Filan. Filan will send it in deep. Down to 10 minutes remaining here in the second period, and again Rogers with that 2-1 lead, keeping a lot of the play deep in the SLPCR end, making them go 200 feet to try and threaten. Del Castillo to Bizcalo in the corner. Bizcalo turns it back in behind, out of the reach of Del Castillo, poked ahead, and the Rogers able to skate to center with Hatcher. And now Patton gets it into the zone. Swept to the corner by Miller, collected by Schultz off the skate of Ganley, played back in by Bolster. Schultz through center, that's kicked right back in deep by Patton. Murphy out of the far corner, avoids one stick, runs into a second, now sweeps it ahead for Keller at center. She played it along and Johnston turns it around. Bolster fires it back in deep and around behind to the far corner where Murphy ties up along with Reimer. Reimer swings it out, a shot from a short angle turned away by Miller. Bizcalo avoids pressure behind the net. Now leaving it there for Emma Murphy off the boards and out. Icing waved off as it was deflected by Johnson at the blue line. Johnston in the corner off the boards, trying to get it out through center where Sherling awaits. And Sherling able to sweep it in and get that line change complete for the Rogers Royals. Carmen plays it back in behind. Bloomquist trying to get it ahead for Zarate. That was broken up by Lloyd. Chapman spins around in the corner. Now able to sweep it back in deep. Bloomquist has it along the end board. Her pass stopped up by Levis and now swept ahead. Keller can't get past the defender Filan, and Filan will wind and shoot through traffic. That didn't make it through. Puck bouncing around out front, and finally Miller trying to get on top of it and hold for the faceoff.
Again, trying to get a little more pressure in on net against Sammy Miller. We've talked about the quality goaltender she is, but that hasn't detoured Rogers from putting pressure on her and trying to get that puck past her, and she covers up on that one.
Face off to the left of Sammy Miller. Gotta have the right number of players.
That's important.
Zarate will take the draw for SLPCR, win it to the corner for Hannah Schultz. Schultz circles and heads up ice. Schultz, a dangerous player from the blue line, top of the circles. Takes the shot, looking for the short side, got it back out to the point. Northwest through traffic. That did eventually make it through, and Hartledge somehow able to track it and get it into her glove.
Yeah, Hartledge did a nice job. All those bodies in front of her, and she's able to keep an eye on where that puck was and bring it in. And again, a good opportunity by Schultz. And then the blast, the shot from out front. She does a good job hanging on.
Zarate forces it in behind and now carries. Spins back to the corner. Now centers all the way through. Schultz at the top of the far circle. Avoids one pressure. Able to get it down deep, but that's broken up and turned up ice by Levis. Taken away from her by Simikiewicz along the far boards. Zarate to Simikiewicz, who sweeps it in. Simikiewicz again tries to get it past Parent, and Parent will play it behind for Filan. Ahead for Levis, and Levis will skate to center. Peyton Levis into the SLPCR zone. Round the defender, and it's swept off her stick, but recollects off the end board. Levis leaving it there. Bolster will play it back into the corner. Northwest first one there for SLPCR. Ahead for Mallory Corrigan on the boards. She's pinched off the puck. Tied up there by Patton. Crawford able to play it to center, and that's going to be first penalty of the game against Rogers Royal. The Rogers Royals, as Courtney Johnston stepped up and took out Albers.
Well, and there really hasn't been just the one penalty to SLPCR in that first period. Now the first one of the game to Rogers here in the second. But this is an opportunity for SLPCR with the skater advantage to knot this thing up.
Rogers able to take advantage of their power play. That shot hit someone out front and now played the length of the ice by Rogers. Schultz pressured by Chapman, spins, plays to Murphy. Her pass deflected, bouncing around in the slot. Backhand chance was stopped up and kicked out near the blue line where Bolster plays it back in deep. Chapman tried to center, backhanded by Sherling, but ends up in the corner. Schultz ahead, that doesn't click. It's going all the way down. That'll icing waved off though, as Bolster has it behind her own net. Plays it ahead, knocked down by Del Castillo, and then the puck stolen away as Schultz tried to flip it across. Backhander by Sherling, easy save by Sammy Miller. Sherling tying up along the end boards. Cardinal, or SLPCR rather, the Catbirds, don't call them the Catbirds, able to put numbers back there and come away with the puck, but another pass that doesn't click. And Filan able to just send it back in deep.
You got to like the pressure that Rogers is employing shorthanded.
It's just really sloppy play by SLPCR. They're not coming to the puck. They're not making crisp passes. Levin.
You're going to call this one on Del Castillo?
No, they're just going to call it
offside.
offside.
I thought they called a penalty.
No.
Okay.
No, Del Castillo just forcing the offside. As Levin almost able to create shorthanded.
Well, we saw that earlier in this power play, an opportunity shorthanded.
Well, no shots on goal here through the first minute 20 of the power play, and a face-off win for Levis, sent in deep by Rogers. Behind is Bloomquist. She's tied up, and now we're going to get a Coon Rapids, or a Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids penalty, as the rough is going to be called against Bloomquist along the end board.
So they'll skate even for 29 seconds, and then Rogers will have the advantage.
She kind of gets tied up here, and then that was pretty weak.
Maybe it's a makeup call.
She was just trying to get around. Call it the rough. So we'll play 4-on-4 for 29 seconds. No shots on goal during that power play for the SLPCR squad.
Yeah, as you mentioned, a bit of a sloppy power play effort by SLPCR.
Assistant coach Matt Mossy getting a little explanation.
Maybe the official wished him happy birthday. You never know.
That would be nice of him,
wouldn't it?
Off the draw, poked toward the net and steered away by Miller. Del Castillo plays it back. Northquist across. Schultz for Del Castillo along the near boards. Del Castillo can't get around Johnson. Pokes free, and puck comes back to Northquist. Schultz at center. Schultz into the zone. Cameron Crawford goes wide to the corner. Tried to send it out front, and that was broken up. And now played around, and the penalty is over to Johnston. So a power play for Rogers. Del Castillo controlling, trying to wrap around his shot, and it's turned away by Hartledge. Rogers able to get it out to center. Some fans wanted a little bit of a hook call there on Del Castillo, being very aggressive with the lumber. Call is not to be. Under a minute remaining in this power play for the Rogers Royals. Levis will skate through center. Into the zone, set up on the near side, poked at, but she maintains control, gets it back from Filan. Back to Filan up top, across. Johnston walks in, tried to center. Backhand chance is turned away, and the net came off its moorings.
Again, continued pressure by the Royals in front of the SLPCR net has paid off for them in that first period. They're looking to strike gold again here in the second and increase that lead.
Well, they move wide, and then they look to center and change direction of the puck, make the goalie move laterally, and take advantage. Filan back to the midboards, poked away from Levis. Levis will get it back out of the corner, and up top, Filan. There's Johnston. Her shot blocked by Schultz. Schultz controls behind, flips it off the board to herself, and then sends it all the way down right in on Hartledge. Crawford will Corrigan will give a little bit of pressure. Pass doesn't click near side. Lloyd ahead for Levis at the blue line. Will set up again on the near boards. Pass deflected and ends up going behind Bloomquist. Bloomquist able to jump on it and trying to get back out front, but it was taken away on a good defensive play by Filan, who gets it out to center. Icing waved off as it got past Northwest into the corner where Schultz has it, and Schultz will play it back into the corner. Northwest off the boards. Swept up there by Hatcher. Hatcher pushed to the corner by Brazier. Brazier up the boards and ahead for Del Castillo, and Brina skates to center. Trying to get around Johnson. Stopped up right at the blue line. Crawford in to help out. The Royals able to play it to the far side. Hoppy in and a stick save up over the glass and out of play. 2:27 remaining here in the second period.
And the Royals still holding that 2-1 lead as we're nearing the end of the second period. And they have to feel pretty good up by a goal. Obviously would like to get a little insurance on that. But
well, and have not given up many opportunities here in this second period to the higher ranked SLPCR squad.
Yeah, just 8 shots on goal as we talked about in that first period for the Catbirds.
Quick shot off the face-off, but right into the midsection is Sammy Miller, and she holds on. We'll try again. Well, and I wouldn't be surprised to find out fewer shots here in the second period than there were in the first.
I wouldn't disagree with you on that one.
Carmen carries behind the net. Ahead and now gets it back from Ganley. Ganley, Carmen back behind for Northwest. And played ahead. Sent right back in. No icing. And Carmen recovers, sends it back behind. Bloomquist had to stretch for it. Gets it ahead to Keller. Keller can't get it past Ochterkirch on the boards. Played out front, redirected in on Miller. Ganley plays it through center. Fresh on the ice, Levis had it taken away by Bloomquist, who sent it ahead, but Keller didn't see it as she missed it behind her. Kick back toward the Rogers end, and Johnston will have to track it down in the near corner. Pressured by Keller. Vizcalo into support. Digging in there for Rogers is Levis. Comes free toward the net, scooped up there by Kendra Bolster. Played around, Lloyd can't get it out. Now poked free by Levis. Tracked down by Northwest just into her zone, and she'll take it around behind, play it off the boards. First one there is Levis. Levis sends it back in deep. Played back to the near corner, Northwest overskated it a bit. Gets help from Vizcalo, who steps free, and she's able to skate to center. Cross for Brina, chopped away from her by Johnston. Corrigan will play it in deep. Down to the final 30 seconds remaining here in this second period. Vizcalo digging along the end boards. Del Castillo in there to help out. Del Castillo comes away with it. Short angle shot, nothing on it, didn't make it through to the net. Johnston trying to come out of the corner and does. Cross the red line and will fire it in and around. And they'll get a line change for the final 10 seconds. A turnover, and overskating it a bit was Sammy Sherling. Played around, kept in by Parent. Sherling pinned to the corner, and the buzzer sounds, and that will end the second period. Nobody able to dent the twine in the middle frame. And the Rogers Royals will go to the locker room still up 2-1. Get some coach reaction right after this on CTN.
This is my kingdom come. This is my kingdom come.
Hi, I'm Ryan Nagasu, 2010 Olympian and bronze medal winner of the 2014 U.S. Championships. I knew I loved skating at the age of 5, and now it's become my life passion. Find your skating passion at the Coon Rapids Ice Center. Classes are available all year round. It could be the place where your skating dreams come true. See you on ice.
Welcome back to Roseville Arena, where you're watching CTN's presentation of 5AA Section Girls Hockey Playoffs. The score is 2-1 Rogers over Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids. I'm here with Royals head coach Joel Westlow. And coach, you gave up an early goal in that first period, and I thought you outplayed them in the latter half of that first period and really controlled some action in the second. Your thoughts through two?
That's exactly it. I think we were caught a little flat-footed off the start, and our girls weren't quite ready for it. Is what it appeared to me. But we righted the ship and kind of took over momentum, and I really like how they're playing. They're working hard, and I'm proud of these kids. They've come a long ways. So hopefully we can keep that going and get through another period.
Holding that 1-goal lead in the third, what's your message to the girls in terms of what you need them to do to contain SLPCR and then hold that lead?
Well, I think our forecheck has been huge. We've really limited their opportunities by keeping them in their zone. So we're going to continue to try to bottle them up, and if we can play in our end and maintain that field position, limit their opportunities, I like our chances.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in the third. We're going to take a quick break and be back with second period stats and highlights right after this.
The Coon Rapids Recycling Center can help you recycle all of your old appliances and electronics. From your old refrigerator to washers and dryers, we can help you recycle your appliances and keep them out of the waste stream, which is required by state law. When it comes to electronics, some fees may apply. Check our website for more details. The Coon Rapids Recycling Center, helping you recycle even more.
Back at the Roseville Ice Arena. This is game one of the Section 5 AA tournament. The number 4 seeded SLPCR squad trailing the number 5 seed Rogers Royals. And really just a good job by the Royals of slowing SLPCR down. And as their coach talked about, a great job of keeping the play at their end and not giving them many opportunities at the offensive end.
Well, I don't see anything changing for Rogers in that aspect. I think they'll continue to put that pressure on. Obviously, it's a 1-goal game, so they know this is a SLPCR team that can score the puck. So they play strong defense, keep the SLPCR players wide. They'll have an opportunity.
Well, certainly if SLPCR wants to keep their season alive, they'll need to have more pressure. Just 5 shots on goal for the home team in that second period. Rogers, not great looks, but more consistent looks at their offensive end. SLPCR able to create a couple of little scrambles, but no real dangerous scoring opportunities for Hartledge.
Well, yeah, and the opportunities that Hartledge has made have been pretty good saves, and you talk about the pressure that Rogers is putting on, and SLPCR are going to have to reverse that. They're going to have to put some pressure of their own in against Hartledge, and that will be their key, I know, for coming out here in the third. Now you see the numbers: 24 shots on goal, just 8 for Coon Rapids. I'm sorry, 13. You are correct. And that's a troublesome situation for the Catbirds. They know that they have to get much more pressure in on net because, as you talked about earlier, win or go home.
Yeah, eight shots on goal in the first period, 5 in the second for the SLPCR squad. They need more than that if they hope to come back. 17 more minutes of playoff hockey coming up next on CTN.
Green hat, red hat, oops. Red shirt, blue shirt, yellow shirt, oops. Yellow pants, red pants, green pants, oops.
Back at the Roseville Ice Arena, ready to drop the puck on period number 3. One of these teams will move on to face number 1 seeded Blaine on Tuesday. The other will be done for the season. No scoring in the second period, and Rogers holding on to the 2-1 edge they got on the power play goal late in the first.
It'll be interesting because the Royals came out with pressure early in that second period. Let's see what happens here in the third.
Crawford dumps it in deep. Del Castillo, quick little shot in on Hartledge, but Hartledge up to the task. Corrigan rather, can't keep it in. Sent back in by Murphy. Royals able to play it across. Centering pass taken away by Murphy off the boards for Del Castillo into the zone. And just flips it in as Levis was pressuring. Johnston behind her own net. Pass skips away from Chapman. Johnston trying to poke it out and does. It was batted at by Del Castillo. Now played to Schultz at the SLPCR blue line. She'll step up, get around the corner. Lost the handle in on Hartledge. Recovers in the corner. Now centering. And that's broken up by Levis and sent on. Played in by Sherling, and Miller sends it to the corner. Schultz plays it behind. Up the boards for Del Castillo. Swept to center. Filan will send it back in deep. Flipped out, knocked out right at the blue line. Bezcalo just got on the ice, able to dig it free and send it in, where Hartledge will send it to the near side. Bezcalo pressuring. Filan comes away with it and skates to center for Rogers. Lines, fires. And missing just wide. Carmen will sweep it back in behind. Bloomquist pressured. Poked at by Reimer, and it's Filan who sends it back into the corner. Behind, out of the reach of Carmen. Keller can't get past Patton on the boards. Bezcalo plays it back in off the end board. Ganley in the far corner. Ganley chased behind the net. Out to the blue line, kept in by Johnson and swept across by Hoppy. A shot that's blocked by Ganley. Johnston will send it back in. Sent back out to Del Castillo at the blue line. Ahead for Jordan Keller into the zone. Keller had her shot deflected to the corner by Johnston. Swept at, stopped up by Cameron Crawford. Crawford can't kick it free. Able to keep it in at the blue line momentarily, but Hoppy has it now for the Royals. Off the boards, turned around by Murphy. Hoppy waits, poked free by Simikiewicz. Comes back to the line where Johnston gets it across for Johnson. Johnson sends it into the zone. Schultz turns, lost the handle, and nearly coughed it up to Lloyd, who already has a goal and an assist off the boards. And Levis tried to one-time it and catch Miller out of the cage, but didn't get anything on the shot. Now SLPCR is in offside.
Yeah, Levis had an open net, and she, as you mentioned, she couldn't get what she wanted to on the puck, but Miller was trying to get back to the goal.
Well, and we saw the dangers of that last week for the boys game. The goaltender coming out and playing it off the boards and not getting it out, and it led to a Coon Rapids goal that sealed their win over Champlin Park. I like the goaltender coming out and being aggressive, but when you better be darn sure you're getting it out of the zone if you're going to play it up the boards. Otherwise, sweep it to the corner, and your defenders should win the race to the puck.
Yeah, you give up a goal in this situation, it's a lot of trouble. You'd be down by 2 at that point.
Correct. So glad your Minneapolis math is working.
You know, it took me a little while, but I brought a calculator with me. So.
Well, it was the exact same situation in that boys game for the Cardinals last week.
Right.
A little later in the third period, however. But this one didn't click anyhow. Johnson shot off the backhand boards, flipped ahead, but kept in by Parent. Schultz recovers off the boards and sends it back out to center. Parent for Johnston, and Johnston just hit Reimer with it, and SLPCR able to turn it back to the Rogers end. Parent collects in front of Ganley, who stops up behind the net. That pass didn't click. Carmen able to hold it at the blue line, now sent out to center. Bloomquist at her own blue line. Flips it ahead. Unable to knock it down was Ganley. Johnston kind of stumbled on the play, so icing waved off, and it's tied up in the corner between Johnston and Bezcalo. Keller in there as well, digging along with Jenna Hatcher for Rogers. Keller able to dig it free momentarily, and now hung up again between Johnston and Carmen, or Bezcalo. Del Castillo digging in there as well. Keller comes away with it, tried to center. That was knocked off her stick. Vizcalo plays it to Keller in the corner, out to the point. Carmen, a snapshot through traffic, ends up in the near corner. Bloomquist jumps in, pokes at it, still has control, centering, nobody home, deflected out to the point. Carmen, his shot that missed wide. Bloomquist a chance, that's off the side of the net. Vizcalo has it behind the net. Played to the corner where Parent collects and gets it out and relieves the pressure for the Rogers Royals. Gets them a face-off in their own end.
Yeah, they certainly needed to do that. You looked at SLPCR putting a little pressure in on net. And the Royals smartly alleviated that pressure. They know they have to face off to the left of Harlech, but nonetheless, cleared a little of that pressure.
Off the draw, puck poked to the near corner. Sent up the boards by Johnson, kept in there by Schultz. Filan has it along the end boards, tied up by Del Castillo. Levis there to help out. Del Castillo trying to dig it free, then tried to give it back to Zarate, and it got past her where Levis could gain control. Levis ahead to Lloyd, out of her reach. Schultz recovers and turns it up ice for Emma Murphy. Murphy into the zone, had it deflected off her stick into the corner. Stopping there is Johnson. Johnson pressured by Zarate and plays it around to Filan in the near corner. Fanned on the pass, but got it right back as Del Castillo fanned on the intercept. Del Castillo able to poke it free and turn back up ice. Chopped at by Levis and pushed toward the board by the Royals' leading scorer. Sent toward the net. Hartledge just deflects it behind. And it's scooped up there by Johnson, who skates across the blue line and out to center. Johnson into the zone, top of the circles, walking in, nothing on that shot. Turned away by Miller. Crawford can't clear. Zarate will skate to center for SLPCR. Trying to leave it off, the pass behind Albers, and going up ice as Johnston cuts to the front. A shot with decent velocity behind it, but right into the breadbasket of Sammy Miller, and a face-off with 10-11 remaining on the clock.
Yeah, nice job by Johnston controlling the puck and creating an opportunity for herself. You'll see there, she gets a look on net, but right into the breadbasket.
Off the draw, poke to the blue line, but held there by Johnston. Brazier can't clear. Carmen tried to get it back to her. Loose puck corralled by the Royals. And again, a shot through traffic by Reimer. It's turned away by Miller. Centering attempt for Sherling. Poke back into the corner. Another centering attempt, and Miller deflects it back to the near corner. Reimer pressuring. Played up to the line, but kept in by Johnston. Skips over the stick of Reimer. Waiting behind is Bloomquist to play it along. Johnston steps up, but it's swept past her and out to center by Simikiewicz. Sent back in by Bolster. Poked ahead, but kept in at the line. Down into the corner, Levis short angle shot, stopped up by Miller. Bolster at the near side, blue, gets it in deep. Brazier trying to keep it away from Levis along the end boards. Carmen gets it to the line, but kept in there by Bolster. Simikiewicz battling. Levis skates it out to center, turns around, winds, fires. That's deflected off the skate of Carmen and across to the near side. Bloomquist off the board, out to center, and sent right back in by Filan. Carmen flips it out to center. Parent couldn't handle it. Vizcalo jumps on it, trying to get around Filan behind the net. Vizcalo trying to leave it to the corner. Filan reaches back for it and gets it up for Patton. Patton coughed it up, kept in momentarily by Murphy, and now an odd man rush the other way, but Hatcher forced wide to the corner, and then it's taken away by Schultz. Schultz with speed leads the rush to center. Schultz, a little fake, and then tried to go upstairs, ends up off the glass, out of play.
Oh, we talked about Hannah Schultz in the beginning of this. I mean, you can see the speed. She is, for a defense person, she is a scorer. She gets the shot off, not able to find the back of the net.
SLPCR able to win the draw. Murphy couldn't get the puck in deep. Still battling along the board. Zarate had it momentarily. Had her pocket pick. Comes loose. And Johnson gets it over for Reimer, who gets it into the zone. Schultz sent it right back through center. Stopped up by Johnston at her own blue line. Johnston had that one off the referee or something.
Yeah.
And out of play into the bench.
Yeah, I think it did. Went right off his back. Time is running down. 7:41 remaining in this third period.
Del Castillo trying to poke it through some traffic. Contains along the near boards. Pass broken up by Lloyd. Turn back to the blue line where Schultz holds. Puts it back in deep. Levis ahead for Lloyd, and she'll skate up ice. Centering pass deflected and left for Levis. Levis into the zone around Murphy on the backhand. A shot and a goal. And that's a big one for the Rogers Royals to give them a bit of insurance with 7:15 remaining.
Well, no question. We talked about Peyton Levis, and what a good scorer she is. She's able to use that speed and the backhand off of Miller into the net. That'll be her second goal of the night. She's able to get the backhand past Sammy Miller to make it 3-1 in favor of the Royals. And now the pressure is really on SLPCR.
Have not scored since 17 seconds into the first. Since then, Rogers has had the majority of the scoring opportunities, and they've obviously now buried 3. Have that big 3-1 lead. Cross ice pass hits Keller through center. Center. Keller lost the handle as she was going across the line and took herself in offside.
That's unfortunate. And again, not a lot of pressure by SLPCR here in this third period. They've had the puck down in the Royals' end, but not be able to generate too much offensively. And then Peyton Levis takes the puck on wing and gives them the insurance.
I think that's a save Sammy Miller makes 9 out of 10 times. Got a piece, but not enough. Ends up behind her. And now the higher seeded Catbirds are in critical situation, down 2 in the late goings of this third period. Puck held at the line, deflected toward the net, but ended up wide. Northquist tracks it down. Puck comes free to Sherling, who sends it in behind. Bloomquist flips it ahead. Keller trying to gather control, broken up by Bolster. Bloomquist steps up, and now Bolster with it from her own blue line. And she will play it in deep. Under 6 minutes remaining, and a 2-goal lead for the Rogers Royals.
There's still plenty of time if they can get a quick tally.
Zarate deflects it in, gives chase, and battles with Filan into the corner. Filan able to send it up the boards. Getting it out to center was Patton before she was upended. Murphy with it will step back in. Murphy to the face-off dot, down low, centering, nobody home. Deflected out to center by Hoppy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it was a nice centering pass in front of the net, but it wasn't a Catbird jersey to put a stick on the puck.
Keller can't get the shot through traffic. Clearing attempt hopped over the stick of Hannah Schultz, and she'll collect back at center. Head for Del Castillo, came off her stick. Schultz able to keep it in at the blue line. Brazier gives it back to her, mishandled a bit, poked, and Del Castillo has it. Through the top of the slot, hooked up a little bit. Puck comes free, no call. As it's chopped at by Corrigan. Corrigan trying to hold along the far boards. Brazier will sweep it back in deep. Parent is there, poked at by Brazier. Brazier trying to center. Loose puck, still loose. Hackdad comes free out to the point. Bloomquist walking in, a shot through traffic, and it didn't make it through to the net. Bloomquist stays with it, whacking at it on the backhand. Brazier has it, tried to leave it off, and swept into the corner by Carmen. And we're going to have a penalty coming up against the Rogers Royals. 4:20 remaining on the clock.
A break that SLPCR needed here is to get that skater advantage, trailing by 2. I guess the Catbirds are going to call timeout here. Talk about things with the skater advantage and a down 3-1. Head coach Sandy Nelson.
1 down 2, offensive faceoff on the power play. Still a lot of time. I don't know that you get so aggressive to open the net because they're going to have a free shot, obviously, being down a player with Sarah Parent going to the box for the cross check.
Coach Westlow, obviously a little breathing room with that 2-goal lead and 4:20 remaining, but he knows he's got to talk to his team because he talked to me about special teams and how important they were.
Well, they have not yet given up a shot on the power play or on their penalty kill. The one opportunity for Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids on the power play was short-lived as they took a penalty, but through about 90 seconds of power play that they've had, have not taken a shot on net and have not really looked very coordinated in that one power play opportunity in the first period.
Yeah, and I think
second period.
Their offense really has not been clicking the way it has in past games here, especially towards the end of the season. And in the most important game of your season now, because if you lose, you go home. Your offense needs to do some things quickly.
Cameron Crawford will line up to take the draw. Corrigan and Del Castillo out there with her. Schultz and Murphy, the defenders. Puck played into the corner where it's recovered by Crawford. Poke to Corrigan. Up to the top of the circle. Schultz across. Murphy through traffic, deflected, hacked at, and held onto by Hartledge.
Yeah, a little bit of pressure out in front of the net, but Hartledge able to make sure she held on to the puck.
SLPCR able to win the draw again, tied up along the boards, knocked down, and they're going to say it was with a high stick. That's a tough one.
It is.
It was right at that level. It looked like where she made contact was right about shoulder level.
Yeah, it's a tough one because it brings it down to the other end. We'll see it here again. I don't know.
She might have had it a little higher than
that. A
that.
little bit higher, yep.
Puck pushed ahead for Del Castillo, leaving it there for Murphy. And she'll skate through center into the zone. Murphy behind the net to Schultz at the top of the circle. A little shot. Save is made by Hartledge. We'll have another face-off. 1:16 remaining on the power play.
Well, Hartledge able to do just enough to keep the situation in front of her and able to stop the puck and force the face-off. 3:36 remaining in this game. 1:14 on the power play.
Schultz walking in, flips across. Murphy had her shot blocked, and they're going to spring the shorthanded opportunity. Schultz able to come back and keep it from being too dangerous. Schultz carries into the zone. Del Castillo wings one wide. This one sent all the way down. Miller will just leave it off. Crawford got turned around a little bit. Boomquist able to bounce that pass through, and Del Castillo will carry into center. Stops up behind the net. Looking. Skating to the corner. Leaves it off for Crawford. Gets it back. That pass broken up. Bounces around. Del Castillo trying to stay in control. Finally gotten to by Filan. She plays it all the way down. Final 10 seconds of this power play opportunity. Northwest through center. into the zone, and the puck swept away. And Sherling will send it all the way down as the penalty to Parent expires. And Rogers back to full strength.
Well, your special teams.
That's going to be icing. And a face-off in the SLPCR end with 2:05 to play.
Your special teams definitely have paid off for you here this afternoon, able to fight off that power play opportunity by SLPCR in a desperate situation, trailing by 2 goals with 2:05 remaining in what could be their season.
A win for Rogers off the draw. Not a lot on the shot by Chapman. Turned away by Miller. Now Chapman holds it in on the far side. Schultz behind her own net. Turns away from pressure. Plays it ahead up the middle. And Descalo able to force it out to center. Puck turned over at the blue line. And here's Lloyd stepping back in for Rogers. Into the middle, a quick shot by Levis is turned away by the stick of Sammy Miller. Murphy recoils back behind her own net again, turns away from the pressure, flips it ahead. That went over the stick of Simikiewicz. Held at the line by Johnston. Now played back out to center, and Bolster will send it back in deep. Schultz behind her own net avoids some pressure. Her pass taken away, a point-blank chance, and Miller is up to the task. Under a minute remaining in this tournament game. Simikiewicz will turn up ice for Spring Lake Park. Coon Rapids dump it in as she gets to the red line. Bolster first one there for Rogers. Pressured by Keller, gets it across. Hoppy plays it through the middle, or Reimer rather. Shot through traffic, bounces in a goal for Del Castillo at the back door with 39 seconds left.
Wow. We'll see what happened. They pulled Sammy Miller, got that extra skater, and Rena made them pay for that and got that goal, but not a lot of time left for the Catbirds here as Castillo able to get that goal.
Right
Hartledge,
place, right time as Blomquist just plays it toward the net.
Yep, Hartledge went down, a lot of room.
And it came right to Del Castillo with a gaping goal mouth in front of her. And they're making it interesting for the final 39. Miller remains on the bench, doesn't even wait for him to gain possession. This one comes to the line. Crawford has it. Hard off the boards for Schultz. Schultz trying to get through a little bit of traffic. Held up a little bit by Lloyd. It's played in deep by Murphy. 15 seconds remain as it's played back to the SLPCR end. Schultz trying to play it off the board to herself. Flipped toward the net by Chapman, and it ends up off the side of the cage. And this one back out to center, but that's going to do it. The season is over for the Spring Lake Park Coon Rapids squad. A minor upset for the Royals.
Yeah, no question about it, and yeah, a lot of disappointment on that bench, no question. And you know, they ended up making it a bit interesting at the end by scoring that goal once Sammy Miller came out of the net, but unfortunately they couldn't get that third one to tie it up, and their season, as you mentioned, will be over. And again, you can see a lot of disappointment on the SLPCR side.
Well, and it seemed they lacked a sense of urgency through the majority of that contest, even when they were trailing. Yep. And credit to Rogers for keeping the play in their end, keeping them bottled up, and not when they did get into the Rogers end, not giving them many good looks. And if they did get one, they didn't get two.
Again, not a lot of shots on goal for SLPCR, and that's really what hurt them.
That turns out to be the game winner.
Yep.
A little backhander by Levis that Sammy got a piece of, but it skipped over her shoulder. And just across the line to give him the 2-goal edge. Brina Del Castillo chipping that one in to make it a 1-goal game with 39 seconds left, but SLPCR just can't find the equalizer, and their season is over, as is most likely the co-op situation between the Panthers and the Cardinals.
Yeah, and it's been, if that's the case, certainly been a fun couple of years covering this combined squad, and we'll see what happens next year if that's the case. But it's a tough way to go out, no question about it.
They wanted a shot at crosstown rival Blaine, the top seed in the tournament. Instead, it'll be Rogers taking on the Blaine Bengals on Tuesday. For us, we got boys hockey next Thursday as the Cardinals host the Anoka Tornadoes, some girls basketball, and boys hockey playoffs on the schedule here as we look toward the end of February. But that's going to do it for this edition of CTN Sports. Again, the final score in this Section 5 AA quarterfinal, it's Rogers 3, Coon Rapids Spring Lake Park 2. Want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. For the entire crew, including Howie Shapiro, I'm Joe Young, saying good night.